let's take a step back. So I want to hear a little bit about kind of that journey to founding SuperOrdinary. Like,
Yeah.
what made you think about the opportunity? Like, how did your background in finance lead you to that point?
Sure.
Just for those that, I think there's a lot of people that like to see what the entrepreneurial journey looks like. And
Yeah.
so tell me about that.
Yeah, so, my path to where I am now is definitely non-traditional. I started my career as a trader in New York City on Wall Street, working at JP Morgan. I was a derivative trader, which is basically analyzing yield curves and very mathematical. And that really kind of like brought me into like understanding like how, big markets work with each other, like interest rates and foreign exchange and commodities, and that always piqued my interest about like how to think about the world. I started my first hedge fund when I was 27, and I ended up selling that to Paul Tudor Jones of Tudor Capital and building his business in Asia. And, I had a lot of early successes in my life, which was really got me into really thinking bigger picture. And I think anyone that knows me knows like I'm always a dreamer. And I'm always thinking about the very long term and, to a fault. Because I think it's really important to dream when you're an entrepreneur, because it makes you think, that, life's exciting. That brought me into a number of positions in my life. So I've had 3 hedge funds in my life, and my last one, which was Castle Bay, which was just managing just under $1 billion under management. And then I found myself in a very interesting place in my life where I was actually bored of what I was doing. And in 2011, I was looking at investing some of my own personal capital, and I found this opportunity to distribute beauty brands in Southeast Asia called Luxola, and that's got me my first entry into beauty. And within 2 years, that business got acquired by LVMH to become Sephora's digital business. And I thought, wow, what an interesting model that you could actually see these younger brands grow and expand, and cosmetics and commodities and beauty has always been similar to me. So it's really a trading opportunity. So I used what I learned in trading, which is really understanding big data, and try to apply it to beauty. Very much how you think about things too, Connor, because I think how we make informed decisions is really about reading the tea leaves and understanding about where things are going. So I after Luxola, I started a brand called Skin Laundry, which was a physical business, disrupting the traditional medi-spa business, which I thought there was a way to do a better offering. So I moved to the US. Started opening stores in America, now in London, the Middle East, and Hong Kong, and I went back to Hong Kong to open stores there, and that was when I stumbled upon this opportunity. Really looking at across the channel to see this massive opportunity that a lot of the brands that I found in the US weren't available in China, and that's how SuperOrdinary started. So I moved to Shanghai, and I put myself above the Instagram of China, which was Little Red Book, and I basically rode the elevator trying to make friends, and realized no one wanted to be my friend. And so I just hung out at Starbucks and kind of dreamed up this idea, and ended up hiring a few people and just gave it a go.
One of our earliest investors, we knew him, right? We're connected to him, but not closely. And he was giving a speech. This is Brian Sugar, who's the CEO of Pop Sugar, mm-hmm. and which he sold recently. And he was giving a speech, and we were going to, bump into him after the speech. And then he takes off early. And I was like, oh, God. It's like, John, you have to go. And he beelined it to the elevator to then run into him at the elevator. He's like, oh, hey, Brian. Yeah. So you gotta do that at the early stages. And Little Red Book was a good one to do that with. What little I do know, that's been explosive in terms of its impact, both and specifically in kind of the beauty and fashion categories, if my knowledge is correct, right?
Yeah, it's Little Red Book is one of these interesting hybrid models between Instagram, I would call it. It's hard to put it into a box, but they build their communities, and if you want to work with an influencer, you have to work with one of the influencers that they promote. So they've done a closed model where they have their what we call these MCN agencies that manage these influencers. So if I want to work with an influencer, and I want to work with you, Connor, and you're not part of that agency within Little Red Book, I can't work with you. So they've closed it off. And there's been several iterations over the years to watch how it's grown, but it's that's been a model that has been interesting to watch, because I think what the Chinese do so well is that they learn how to iterate very quickly and figure out what works and what doesn't. But yeah, my office was literally an elevator away from their main office, and I used to run down after we used to run a campaign and talk to them and show them new products, and it was really very much a hustle back then.
That's so awesome, though. That's such a, I mean, people underestimate kind of how much of a role that kind of stuff plays in the early days, right? Like, because you start to build community around your business, right?
Yeah.
And like you build people that want to support you and that get really excited about seeing the progress you've made. And that those people end up playing a much bigger role than I think folks realize. That's super cool.